Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Money Space with me. My name is Kalu Aja, and on this space, every week we're talking money, the economy, and of course, personal finance, and what can be more personal than education, right? So, education is to me an investment, right? It's not a cost. There's a direct positive correlation between your level of education and the paycheck that you get. There's also a positive correlation between the GDP per capita of a nation and how educated they are. So if you invest in education, it's the only, hear my words, the only guaranteed return investment. So if you buy a stock, for instance, it can go up, it can come down. But there's no way if you learn a skill, because skill is also an education. If you learn a skill today, your income goes up. Any skill, if you learn how to fix a computer, or you learn how to, even clean a house better using better chemicals, to paint a house, or to learn how to code, your income goes up. So it's that important. It's so important that the government in every nation takes control of education because they understand, many countries understand that if you educate your kids, you are setting them up to have a workforce that can then pay taxes, support the elderly, and those taxes then build infrastructure, create trade, create consumption. So you can't talk about the economy without talking about the workers that create that productivity in the economy. Most times in Nigeria, we overlook this, right? And then we're focusing maybe on infrastructure, which is important. We want to build that road or build that hospital. But when you build a hospital, who's going to work in the hospital? Where are the nurses? What's the standards that are there? How do you raise productivity of our workers? Right now, we have electric cars. How many electric mechanics do you know? And these are questions I want to ask and to talk about the education of Nigeria and to say how have we set it up and how can we do it better to achieve those better outcomes. So no other person that I think in my mind is better to discuss about the economy and Nigeria, of course, and education than this guy, Alex Oni. I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter. I follow him. I know what he does on a professional level and also what he does on the, you say, the is this philanthropic level or endowment level? He'll explain better. And I think it's just good to have a discussion with him about his views on the economy, on education, what we're doing right, what we can do better. So I just invited him, and I'm so glad that he accepted to come in here and speak. So, Mr. Alex, you want to unmute, introduce yourself, and let us know who you are and what you do.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Carlo. I'm really happy to be here. So, my name is Alex Onya, and I run a company called educare. So, we provide ERP solutions to different schools. So, the best way to describe us is most of the private schools in Nigeria, especially the top ones, they use our software daily. So they help. We are more like the operating system. So we are the heart of whatever they do every day. So well, definitely we are in different other countries as well. But our biggest market here is Nigeria. So we understand at the core what happens in the K to 12 space and how it works from 0 to 1. Mm-hmm. Then also I run another organization called Switch Up. It's also a software infrastructure that helps businesses manage their money. So it's an invite-only application. So we process several billions of naira almost on daily basis. But it's only invite-only actually. So most of our core customers are educare customers. Wow. Both educare for schools and also educare for business. So these are like the core businesses that I run.
So,
thank you.
Mr. Alex, I'm on the educare website. It is massive. I mean, I don't even know where to start from. I see in investments, I see education. Um, if you could drill down, like, just what made you start this? What was the inflection point that you decided to do educare? Did you go to school, study education? Did you see a gap in the Nigerian economy? What was it really? Okay, so I think one of what I studied was, of course, agric engineering in UNN, but I've always had this strong passion to create software that helps solve very critical problems. So I started writing software in 2007.
So I think what happened was, of course, I built a lot of software over the years. So we had this school, Lekki British School. So they approached us to help build a software that helps them manage their school. So, I mean, well, while we were building the software, we didn't really know how big that was. But at a point, we kind of let them even check, is there really a gap in this space? So we realized that, yeah, there are people that were building something of this nature. But the biggest problem is they really don't have something of quality that they can truly rely on. And then the other ones, they had limited capabilities. So we said, okay, let's build for them, then let's now expand it as skill. So that was basically what we did. And as at that time, by the time we finished that of Lekki British, I think somebody saw what we were doing, and through GT Bank, they reached out to us. So GT was very keen then. At some point, they offered, you know what, we want to give you 600 million then, and then buy over the software.
Wow.
So like 600 million. So
What,
I did, for the fact that
what year
we'd
was that,
already
sir?
tried-
What year was that? Just want to put it in perspective. What
That
is
should be 2015, 2016.
600 million?
Yes.
And you
So what we did was, yes, I have to turn it down. So what I said, you know what, because they wanted to deploy us to like 20,000 of their schools, partner schools then. So I said, no, for the fact these guys can value it at 600 million. I know banks, banks are very stringent. I said, no, that means there's something really great in this. So we decided, first of all, let's re-architect the application, because we wanted to deploy for 20,000 customers. So we can't use the current architecture. So we had to re-architect it for scale. So by the time we had back and forth, we don't want to sell, we want to deploy, let's do like a licensing agreement. At the end of the day, they didn't accept the licensing agreement. So, and it didn't work. But however, they still recommended us to a few of their customers. So, but that gave us like a very big insight. And unfortunately, we've already re-architected the application for scale. So what it means is that we can deploy to multiple people in seconds. Ideally, for us to deploy to a new customer in our original design, it means we have to set up a completely different infrastructure, which was very expensive to maintain, very expensive to, a lot of things were not right. So that was when we did that. So fortunately, we started growing, and our numbers keep going up, because one of the things we solved was we built something, yes, that really worked. Secondly, something that people can really rely on. Thirdly, the intuitiveness was very different. And then the capabilities were a lot more. So that gave us a rise. And before you know what is happening, our numbers went really, 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 really high. So we have over 2,000 private schools currently.
Wow. And these schools,
Yes,
are they all local schools, or do you have any foreign schools?
yeah, we have quite a number of foreign schools, but majority of our customers are local schools, Nigerian schools.
Got you.
So we have some in other few African countries and a few in Europe, but a majority of our customers are Nigerian schools.
Wow. Just to drill back to you and your background, who taught you this IT skills? Where did you learn it from? Nigeria? Did you take a course? How did you learn how to quote unquote code?
So I attended a 3-day web design program in 2006. I attended it in Local Gate in Enugu. I just saw a flyer. Somebody gave it to me, Chinedu. Oh, look at this flyer. Let's attend a 3-day course. So I went there. The first day they did normal web design. That was the first time I really saw web design. The second day it was advanced. So we used Dreamweaver, and then Micromedia Fireworks. I had to pay extra for that. So once I got it, I've always had passion for computing for a while. So when I saw it, I became very interested. I had to start learning. Then we had to learn how to code using Notepad. And then I had to start learning how to write web programs, HTML, CSS. Then there wasn't Bootstrap, but we were just learning how to write some of these things. So that alone made me understand the unlimited possibilities that comes with software. So that was how I started writing software. Then I had a job then in Lagos, Dynamics Communication. I think I was earning money. I think then I was earning like 1 million I was doing remote working anyway, but then it wasn't called remote working. Just that I had to just do the work. Yes, I could do like 5 works, but at the end of the month, I earned like 1 million then.
Gotcha.
So, which I was still in school then, so I just knew that this is my future. So, but then I was doing a lot of contract jobs. I mean, I was working for Dynamics Communication, but I also knew that the people who did really well in software can never succeed doing contracts. So you need to actually build software as a service and then sell a multiple.
What does that mean? What does that mean, Sir Alex? What does that mean?
So, for instance, Facebook, Twitter is a software. SAP is a software. These guys did not build software for American Embassy. They built an infrastructure, and they can deploy to thousands and millions of customers with exactly the same thing. So that is the only way you can be a billionaire building software.
I hope people are listening.
If you are doing this whole government contract, all those building software for me, you can never make it.
Gotcha.
You can never make it.
So
that one is
so, for instance, in my world of finance, who would say you want to build something you can monetize over and over and over at scale?
Exactly. Like for instance, what it costs us to maintain one customer in educare is exactly what it costs us to maintain 200 customers. And then we are charging, let's say we are an average cost of like 5 million annually, for instance, per customer. So we make that multiple for 200 customers. And then we charge you that same thing 3 times every year for people that do 3 times payment. So that is actually where you can build a future around software. So then there's this software we did then, this point of sale application for ProNov. We did even the audit system that they use in Ministry of Power. We are the one that developed the first version of the application. We did different other kinds of application we did, but these are contracts. They pay you 10 million, they will tear you apart, money will finish, you start another. You know those kind of recycling of get money, get poor, get money, get poor. So I knew that you can never build a future around it. So we're already looking at, can we pick one of these opportunities that we have and build it as a service? So when we had that of the Lekki British, ideally they were meant to pay us, was it like 5 million or 10 million? I can't remember the amount again. So by the time we understood the space, we told them, no, we wouldn't want you to pay us a licensing fee so that we can maintain it for you. So that beyond just this, they paid us I think 1.3 million every time to maintain it. So although that money they paying us then is still what they are paying us now, but we left them as our first customer. Wow. So but we have to use that same cycle to maintain for them. So that helped us to build out the application really well, and then everything started helping us to scale.
Gotcha.
So that's basically how we were able to scale up. So now when we now solved the school, we now opened up educare for business. We have one of the most advanced HR application, one of the most advanced finance application, and some other modules. We have a proper like diplomatic village, for instance, one of the largest supermarkets in Abuja. It's only for diplomats anyway. They use us and so many other people. So we have application for hospital, we have application for hotel, we have application for HR, for finance, for payroll. So many of all these things are built as some modules inside our application. Yeah. So all these things now help us to branch across all forms of businesses.
Yeah, I see it, but like I say, it's very, very detailed. Lots of options here for the business, for professionals, for schools. It's just a lot, it's a lot. If you go to the site under products, I see for finance, mailbox, HR, medicals, for schools, there's administration, pastoral, finance, even voting. So let me just make this point. You were just wandering around, if my man is saying this, in Enugu, and you got trained to do coding, not school, not the school that you went to. You learned a skill.
3-day training. 3-day, yes.
And today you are selling software to Nigerians and abroad, and you rejected 600 million naira in 2015 because. So the question is: are there other guys that attend that training that you know of today that sort of made it through that training? Are you just an outlier, or can you point to other people that attended that training or other trainings like you did? Doesn't have to be in Nugu, but is this a thing? Are there people that have basically made their way through coding on their own and now have a structure, even not as big as yours, but is this a thing?
Okay, a lot of people. I was with some to the guy that owns Piggyverse. I was with him, I think in December. We were just discussing, just like how far. It still, he actually had just a very similar experience. He picked up this and learned how to write codes before they had to build Piggyverse. Now their business is doing really, really well. The guy that gave me that flyer, he's also, of course, he doesn't run a company as big as mine, but he's really doing well, and he's actually started from that same journey. There's a lot of, I think in Nigeria, majority of the people doing well in software started just by picking up a course online or maybe introduced by a friend, but most of them are self-taught because there's no university that can actually teach you what you need to do really well in software here. So, but that's basically, I mean, a lot of people are doing really well. Is it Shola? Shola is doing well. Is it the Money Point guy? Is doing really well. I mean, you can count on a lot of them, and it's still, most of them are just really taught. That's the power of I mean, education, especially when it has to do with software. Just one simple knowledge can skyrocket you forever.
I mean, again, you go back to our topic of the day, the education and the economy. If we bring Money Point, bring Piggyvest, and we calculate the GDP, or the output you guys have created, the productivity you guys have created, it's going to show up major in the Nigerian economy. And how much was the investment? You guys actually self-taught yourself. This is the point this speech is trying to highlight, that all this money we are spending, let's leave private jets, just the money we are wasting on functions, on seminar, on refreshment, on horarium. If we took that money, a 1% of that money, and we invested in youths, like I see you doing, and we trained, imagine if we trained 100 youths in Almajiri how to code. Are you saying one person from that group cannot become like you guys? I think it's very possible.
So the best way to invest in technology for people is really not necessarily about training them. It's about giving them the infrastructure. For instance, laptops. What somebody really needs is give me laptop, give me internet. Maybe show them where to learn. There are exceptional people, like in terms of coding, there's this guy called, I call him Mosh Hamedani. For everybody who is really good in writing codes, may likely know Mosh Hamedani. He's like one of the best tutors ever. There's absolute no way if you go through his course that you won't, after like 1 year or 2 years, you must be a senior engineer and probably be earning at like $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 every month. So this is something that you know, and even in his course, he will show you your career path. So when people have the right hardware, unfortunately now is becoming a little bit more expensive. It's a lot more expensive, not even a little bit more expensive. A normal good laptop, fairly used, that you can use, probably to write this code should be like 500,000-600,000, fairly used, not a brand new. So, and majority of the people who wants to do great don't have it. Electricity, they don't have. Thank God we have Elon Musk internet. Many of them don't have all these things. So the core investment for these people are the infrastructure, the hardware. Give them laptop, give them internet, probably a space, then you've set them free for life. Give them 6 months for people who are really, majority of them definitely will be passionate. Once you give them these tools, you have done everything for them. Or you set up like a large center, have this hardware there. People can come in and go. Maybe over time, if they can be able to build enough skills and maybe raise some money through their skills. Because there are multiple ways to get money from just the knowledge you get. There are tools like even Fiverr, even upskills. There's a lot of them that you can use. And with just those skills, you can actually get money. So if you get money, you can buy your laptop and then you are working from your home. So these are basically what these people need. And once we start having those kind of places, right, those kind of centers with those, remember, the quality of the hardware makes like a massive difference. Like for instance, a 16 gig SSD, right? A 16 gig RAM, maybe Intel, an SSD, and an 8 gig. The difference is like walking from here, trekking from here to the US. And the impact it has for those people using them, especially people who are already building a little bit more hardcore work. The difference is too much. A 32 gig makes a lot more difference. So if these people can have these kind of things available for them, it is almost impossible for them not to make it.
So it's essentially, if we created a center where we had these things already built in, like a library, digital library.
If you have multiple centers whereby we have these things already built and maintained, so what you just need to do is, because you may not be able to buy hardware for multiple millions of people, just register, come, use it as frequent as you can. Do your online job. By the time you get $500, $1,000, everybody wants to have their pay, because at the end of the day, most of the work happens at night. Most of the people that write software is usually at night when there is no noise. What you do majorly during the day is more of maintenance, and maybe sometimes you can still do some work. So if they do this work, $500, $1,000, $2,000, they manage to make this money. The first thing they would definitely do is to buy their own laptops. And once they buy it, you've already released that person. And there are different skills, aside from writing codes, graphics, writing skills, a lot of skills that are very, very useful at this age. So the ones they can pick those skills, they can liberate themselves. And you know, one good thing about it is making money in dollars when you're in Nigeria here, especially as a freelancer. There's nothing as sweet as that. So once they can, those things are available for them. People want to do 3D animation. You can't do gaming or 3D animation with those. Their laptops are usually expensive, 2 million, 3 million. These are like high performance machines. These are even fairly used. I'm not even talking about brand new. You get my point? So once you have those kind of things available for them, you will start seeing people unleashing different kinds of interest and potential. And that is where the opportunity will start pulling up. So for us now, as an organization and people in our cadre, everybody, we invest a lot in hardware. You understand? I mean, all our team, their machines are super powerful. Definitely, they can use a low-end system. And the same thing with all our people. Baystaff, Money Point, all of them, they have all their team. As they are coming in, they're giving you high-performance systems, because that's the only way you can work. So these are the difference. So you see them from here, they're moving to the next stage. The normal person hustling that have a Pentium computer. The Pentium already is a clear limitation of life.
Wow.
Until you upgrade, you will hardly ever make much progress.
So if a state government had 50 billion, and that state was a very, very poor state, the state could have just taken 10% of that 50 billion, say maybe 5 billion, build those centers in every, say, LGA, maybe put 50 computers there, 50 lab, like you said, high-end, powerful computers, put generator, put solar, put 24 hours internet, and then say you have a 2-year maybe ticket or so, and then the kids, you can go in, work, for 2 years, you can use that system for free. That would change, from what you're saying, that would change that person, change that state, change the economy of that location. That's what I hear you saying.
That is exactly what it is. They shouldn't invest so much in the building. Just a basic building, conducive building, but then let them invest more on the hardware. If they do it, they are going to see the kind of change. Let me tell you something that you may know. You know this place in Europe called Netherlands. There's this place called Eindhoven. Eindhoven is like the Silicon Valley of Europe. There's this company called ASML. ASML they have the most advanced lithography machine. Lithography is a methodology used to developing chips. So they call that company the world's most important company. I know you may not have heard of it. That's the world's most important company. So what they do is producing that machine that they use to produce chips. A machine can go between $350 million to $500 million. That lithography is a deep secret knowledge. And that thing was invented inside the University of Eindhoven. It is a knowledge that their biggest customer is Taiwan. You know, Taiwan produces 60% of the world chips.
Through TSMC.
Yes, ASML. So that company you see is like the largest company in Netherlands. That same company employs more than 20,000 people. But one of the biggest things is that they keep their secret is even more secretive than Coca-Cola. You know, Coca-Cola for over 100 years, nobody really knows the true formula. No one person knows it. They are even more secretive. So what they trade is knowledge. That secret, that their secret in their lithography is what nobody ever know, and that is why they are extremely important. You get my point? So there are so many things, when you start, for instance, in Nigeria, we may not, yes, we have silicon, we have boron, we have germanium, some of the things that they use in producing silicon. We don't even need to start from chips. Chips making. We can even start from chips design. There are a lot of super brilliant geniuses in Nigeria that are limited because of the environment. Environment has to do with infrastructure. If we have some of these things, people may even develop interest in, let me learn how to make chips. There are some, for instance, in programming, there's this language called ADA. The name Ada, that name Ada, in Igbo we call it Ada, is the world's most universal name. Almost every tribe has that name. Chinese, English, French.
America, they call it Ada.
Ada, yes. So that Ada girl, she's an English girl. She's the world first programmer. She's a female. The world first computer programmer. That language is also the world's most important computer program. So that is what they use to write software programs for, like aeroplanes, like critical mission applications, aeroplane, everything that is critical. That is what they use. So the process it is super secure, right? So we don't even learn like Fortran that we need to start building. For instance, we're talking about nuclear weapons, nuclear this. There are some languages you use. There are some languages that you'll never find entire Nigeria in. So we need to start having people whereby people are learning ADA. Because you see Nigerians here, I'm already working for Pentagon, I'm already working for CIA, the person is in Lagos. You get my point? Did I know that there are some people that work for Bank of America that are in Lagos, right? So you see, once you start having these kind of tools available for them, people will start exploring their potentials. You start seeing all kinds of things. That is why those tools are just too important. So somebody that choose not to go to secondary school, there's one boy that worked with us, Chidera. He's a mid-level engineer now. He earns much more than any professor can earn. And he hasn't gone into the university. He came, let him learn, and now he's already doing really well. So that is, I cannot just overemphasize the power of it, especially in this our tech area. So whenever I see the gaps where we are not playing, the place that the world plays so well is like, I remember when Boson wrote about investments in AI, 100 million. I was like, is this guy high or something? Because I know that for us to, of course, AI is very expensive. Even for us, we used to even buy some of these hardware, some of these processors, how expensive they can be without even going there. But the point is that once our people start having these tools, you start becoming so amazed and surprised on what these geniuses that are hidden across different places can start producing. The next Elon Musk may even be somebody in Ebonyi State that we are yet to see. But give them the tools, and then you see who they can be.
So, Alex, let's drill this down. I'm looking at the education budget for Nigeria for 2024. It's about 2.18 trillion, about 7.9% of the budget, right? If you were the education minister today, how would you deploy this? This budget is going to universal basic education, about 11% is going to go there. TET fund, 32%. Then other ministries and departments, which is going to be the expenditure, about 52%. So overhead personnel allowance is 62%. To the point I'm making, the bulk of this money is going to go to salaries of workers, teachers, and only a very, very small amount is going to go towards capital. If you were education minister and the president has said we want to have a $1 trillion economy in 10 years. 10 years was 2 years ago. So we have 8 years to get to 1 trillion without rebasing. Let's forget the rebasing. Let's say without rebasing, we are at about 200 million now. We want to add $800 billion to Nigeria in 8 years, and we have a budget for about 2.1. I won't compare that to dollars. It's been nothing. What steps? I'm not asking you to allocate the amount, but what steps? And if you're talking talk like a local government guy, not a local government guy is listening to you. What steps can I do with my location to go from where my local government is today to perhaps tripling the output in my local government area? I'm from Ohafia. What can Ohafia local government area do today with all those youths that will triple the GDP if you had budget in your hands? Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so should I talk as the local government chairman or should I talk as the minister?
I want to bring it down to local government because I want the something that is doable. When we talk federal, it starts to go into that moral sense of that federal bureaucracy gets caught up there. But a local government guy has ultimate power. He has no House of Assembly. He has no Senate. He gets allocation. We are going to get allocation now, as I hear. Local governments are going to get allocations directly. So my question is, if you understand my question, it's basically saying, what can we do, even as an individual? Let's say I live in the United States, I have $1 million, and I want to endow in my community. So I want you to give me, if you were a step, so that what can I do to empower my local government to triple their GDP in the next 8 years? That's really where I want to go to. Federal has too many minefields, yeah.
Yeah, so firstly, I need to look at what is our global advantage. One of our global advantages is our young population. So we need to now use that as a core yardstick. How can we take advantage of that? So the first thing is this: one of the areas that one of the things I know I'm going to do is massive investments in technology. Technology has to do with one, infrastructure. I talked about the laptops and different centers for learning, right? And then connectivity has to be open and free. I have to make it available for almost everyone within it depends on how much I have. So when I have those tools, both high performance, low performance, and connectivity around, what I've basically done is I've already empowered everybody. I've already removed a lot of limitations, right? Secondly, the basic education at its core. I need to make sure that, every single school is very conducive. And I have to train the teachers. I have to invest a lot in teachers training. Now, I'm going to do a lot of teachers training. I'm also going to do a lot of backup technology because at the end of the day, the kind of knowledge that the children need, the teachers you are training cannot give it to them. So you also need to invest a lot in the technology and see what's the globally that they are using, what different tools that people are using. So now, why am I doing all these things? I'm already opening up people, right? I'm already opening up the potentials. Then another thing that I'm also going to do is looking at these things now, I need to now start creating opportunities. Because one is to gain knowledge, another thing is to have opportunities. I'm still focused on the area of tech, right? Now, there are a lot of opportunities, limited opportunities that I have that I can start bringing. Because if you are learning, let's say, coding, and we have a very big project that we are going to do. We need like 100 engineers, and 100 engineers are deploying it from my own region, right? So what happens is that at the process of doing that, that is where learning actually happens. That's where you've faced challenges, you go through this, you go through that, you are already getting the actual knowledge. So with that creates like an energy. Definitely I'll be doing a lot of events, bringing different people, ecosystem, building networks, so that more people can access more individualistic opportunities. So these are one area I have to do. Secondly, technical education. You know that, for instance, there is serious gap in technical education. Plumbing, getting quality plumbers are difficult. Mechanics, getting quality mechanics are difficult. You can count them. Carpenters. So I can develop like using this whole program that the Germans do. I can quickly develop like a program like that, right? So I want to start shipping to different, like there's this, one of our customers, I think one construction firm in Bayelsa. I noticed one of the things they do is that the engineer that helps them service their machine, they fly the person every time from Lagos. So imagine if we can produce like 200, 300, 1,000 quality plumbers within my own region, meaning that everybody comes from different. So I'm now exporting plumbers or some of the super high skills. So if I can train these people and keep marketing them across different places. So what happens is that these hand skills now, people are now coming to my place to hire them. or to rent them or this. So I am creating like those kind of ecosystems. So when those kind of things happen, you can see that the revenue will start going in tech, enhance skills, then the people who are learning, then giving them opportunities. Of course, definitely I will invest in sports because there's a lot of other opportunities also in sports, building in a lot of partnerships as well for them. So the inter-house games, the inter-regional games, I have to intensify it. All kinds of sports. Is it football? Is it, the major ones that we do. So these are the things that can attract a lot of value to my own place. So for me, this is basically how I'm going to deploy those resources. And I have to deploy it diligently because, most of the time when you hear of 1 billion or 1 trillion, in the actual sense, what was deployed is probably 100 million. So, but imagine if you can actually deploy like 800 million of the actual amount or even 1 billion of itself, the impact will be a lot bigger. Gotcha. So for me, these are actually how I'm going to approach it.
And once said, again, I'm going to just, there are lots of folks I want to ask you a question. Also, I have a lot of questions on D. I'm going to allow folks to maybe ask you. But just to also emphasize your point you made, I personally, my family, the last kid in my family, he refused to go to university. He was a coding guy. He said he knew everything about coding. And we eventually agreed to take him abroad. He works in a top 3 firm in the world. He didn't go to school in Nigeria. He said there's nothing coding there. So it goes back to what you're saying. I also see what you do in terms of even the JAMB, the way you are training kids to write JAMB by just showing them the computer. I mean, I'm just, when I ask the question about 50 billion, I'm talking literally. There's a state that used 50 billion for a capital project, and that state is not very, very rich. And I'm just saying, if that state took 10% of 50 billion, which is 5 billion or so, right, and invested in the human knowledge that you just explained here, training the people in that state in IT, in sports, creating those skills. You talk about the plumbers. The state's GDP will go up. We're not talking esoteric things here. We're talking things that they could have done over a 4 and 8 year period that will change the fortune. India did it using the 2020, the Millennium Bug. India, that was their big break, and they did it. And I think Nigeria is sitting on this potential, really. That's just my take, Mr. Alex. So I wanted to talk about really the JAMB thing that you do. Then I'll let the folks come and ask you a question. We've got Emerewe, Robinson, Olufemi all wants to ask you a question. So just talking about that, your push to raise JAMB scores, and then I'll open up the floor, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so what happened was 2 years back. Was it 2 years back? Yeah, is it 2 years back or last year? Honestly, I can't remember. But one of the things we had a discussion, and we just realized that 70% of the people in my community failed JAMB that last year, right? That particular year. And I was like, 70% is very dangerous because, at that age is their transitioning age. And, when children don't pass JAMB, it seems as if their world is about to end. And that is where they can be exposed to all kinds of error. So it is usually very important for every child who finishes secondary school to get into the university. It is very important for the society, and it's also very important for that particular child. So we said, okay, that we had a lot of educational gaps in my own community, but let's solve this particular one. It's a low-hanging fruit. So fortunately, technologically, we have the tools. So one of the things we did was, we started our classes back-to-back drilling. Then we deployed educare. So one of the things we did in educare that's created the magic was there's what we call gap analysis. So how gap analysis works is you are writing let's say English. I'm assessing you in English. And the assessment topics are, let's say, idioms. We have synonyms. We have sentence interpretation and maybe one other topic, right? As you are writing the assessment, the system is intelligently mapping you based on your performance in each topic of the questions I ask. So after the assessment, I can tell you that you are having gaps. You are struggling in idioms because most of the questions that comes in idioms, you didn't really do well in them. So I am no more facing English as a subject. I am facing idioms as a topic so that I can go straight and address your problem. I can do it as a class, and I can do it as an individual. So at the end of the day, I know that this particular class is struggling with idioms. Or in physics, let's say electromagnetic induction. So this is where the gaps are. So what do we need to do? Should we need to get a special teacher? Do we need to re-explain the concepts? So we use that methodology. So we focused on closing the gaps, not teaching just subjects. So it helps us to be able to drive to focus. So we knew that, okay, idioms in English was where the problems are. We have to improve on our pedagogy. Let's see how we can deliver this so well that the children will understand it so well. So what we noticed is that by the time we did it the first time, second time, and we started closing these gaps, we started noticing that somebody that was struggling that scored 30 is already at 60. It's already at 78. So we knew that closing this gap gave us that instant correction. So we didn't start boring them with teaching them everything what they know before, wasting so much energy. We focused on those strengths. So when we started doing it and we started doing their consistency, because another thing that affects the children, which we discovered, is this technology shock. You've never used a computer before, and for the first time you are using it and you are writing the most important exam in your life at that point. There's already panic. You don't even probably know how to use a mouse, and you are still struggling, and time is going. Before you know what is happening, it is gone, or you click something that you needed to come back to correct. So those technology shocks also affects children performances. When we now combine the technology, combined introducing them to technology, and the last thing is course choices. We notice, for instance, let's say you want to do psychology, or let's say you want to do psychology or business management, and there are so many options of courses. You can do English, you can do literature, you can do CRS, you can do this. And you see a child picking English, economics, mathematics, and this. Those subjects, yes, can help you get the course. But if you can do CRS, English, these are subjects that are a lot easier, and it still help qualifies you for that same course. Why not focus on the ones that are a lot easier for you, so that you can, because at the end of the day, JAMB, they are more keen on your score, not necessarily what you took. So we have to start guiding them again. So that was why people now start selecting. When we did that deep assessment, we now start helping people identify their core strength subjects, identify where their gaps are, corrected the gaps, help them to be able to map the subjects, and then give them confidence. So that was when, before they wrote the exam, we were 100% sure that everybody must do well. So what we're only battling is how many people are going to score 350, 380. That was where our thoughts are. So when they wrote the JAMB, everybody passed. We were not surprised, I knew, because we were observing the data and we are seeing it already. So yes, we didn't get so many people. We didn't even get anybody score 380. We weren't happy, because that was what I was looking forward to. But it was already clear. And the same tool is what we use a lot for a lot of private schools. They always want to identify gaps and everything. So that tool, with the training and then with some of this work, it was actually quite intense. We took them from that 70% failure to 100% success. And all these children now knew that, oh, this is actually possible. My little cousin that was with me in my house, she didn't join the program because she was with me in Lagos here. I had to use the same method. So, of course, she had access to educare, unlimited access. So she was also doing I call it assessive learning. She assessed herself, she learned, she uses all those things. She scored 187 the last year. She scored 243 at this last one they did. She never had confidence in herself before now. In her life now, she's blooming with confidence. So it was obvious. So that's exactly how we were able to do it. So that's even why recently we decided to release educare exams or educare. We decided to make it open. Wow. So that we can, the people in Gambia reached out. Then Gambia, their own is bad. Wow. 4% of the entire Gambians only passed WAEC. They don't do JAM, they do WAEC. Only 4% of the entire country passed WAEC. So they needed help, and some other people. So I said, you know what, let's make this application open. Let everybody use it. Let them use it to learn and practice. Wow. So that it can really help them. So we recently made that one open. So they don't need to pay any money. Originally, it's expensive. It's only for private schools, but we've made it open for them. So if people who are wise, they should be able to use those tools. And if they use it for frequent practice, it's almost impossible for them not to do really well in those exams. We introduce more exams like ACT, SAT, IGCSE, some of the exams that traditionally you can never find a way to practice easily online. So we have to make it easy for them as well. So that's basically what we did for my own community. And then that's basically what we're also trying to help a lot more people in Nigeria and some other West African countries to achieve.
Yeah, from me no go to the world. Good job, sir. And last question: are you guys considering? I know you're not a big company. Are you guys considering quoting, listing, private equity? What's the institutional direction for educare?
So our biggest focus right now is what they call it different. Should I even use? I mean regional growth. Regional growth, like I've been doing frequenting a lot in Europe. And then internationalization, that's what we call it, because we are now writing our program in different other languages, like in Arabic, in German, in French. You know, when you are building applications for those regions, you can't use a translator. One, you have to, actually manually translate, and then you also have to understand how those region works a lot better. So we are trying to see how we can quickly get to more regions. That's our core focus now. And by the time we get a little bit more stable in those regions, then we can now start considering going public.
But it's in the pipeline for you sometime down the road.
Yes, definitely it is. It will be
very interesting to have you, Money Point, all those guys that you guys just started off from, just learning to code, to build an institution. It will be very interesting to have you guys in the room and just talk. I mean, we would learn more from you guys than an MBA. But let me bring in Ignatius, Mr. Ignatius, Nwere, yeah. Well, you got the floor, sir. Mr. Alex is here. We've been talking for the past 1 hour on education and the economy. He's talked about his own personal journey. He's given us, the in-depth skills, and he just locked that thing in for us: education and the economy. So, if you have a question, Nwere, you've got the floor. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Mr. Alex, for this detailed insight into your field. I asked, I'm a parent. Then in our days now, the yardstick then for literacy was to go to university to study the political sciences, the social and humanities of this world. Then coming to the contemporary world, now we discover that some of those courses are obsolete and not fit for purpose. Then my basic question is, for our children that are upcoming, how do we encourage them? How do I encourage my 4-year-old child to embrace this ICT? When he will tell me that he wants to be a teacher, he's emulating his classroom teacher, and I'm insisting that he must be a medical doctor or an engineer. So what are the practical steps I can take as a parent to discourage my children from going to the social sciences or to the humanities that may not be relevant in today's world, and rather key onto the technological and ICT sector that appears to be the currency of the moment? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the question.
Great question.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. One thing you need to know is that every single sphere of life at this point has a critical component of ICT. Is it in medical? Is it in finance? Is it in transport? Tell me every single industry. Is it in government? You'll see that at its core is ICT. One thing you need to do for your children is invest in technology infrastructure like hardware, like the laptops, the high performance systems. Give it to them. Let them learn more, because even in those things they want to do, there are better ways that they can even learn. You want to do teaching. Understand what it really works. Understand different tools. Understand that you can actually build software tools that can. The world's biggest teacher is YouTube, but they never employed any single teacher. There's almost nothing that you can't learn on YouTube. So you may not necessarily be a teacher like teaching in the classroom, but you can develop an infrastructure that helps everybody to learn. So if you give them those tools, that is the very first step. Of course, if you have connectivity at home, that's also very helpful. When they have these tools and they are now seeing it, And you can now encouraging them, learn this, learn that, introduce them to different things. It is a lot easier to sway them in. But if you are just telling them to come and do this, it becomes a lot more difficult. So when you have different things, like take this course, it's a 2 weeks course. Okay, if you finish this course, I'm going to give you $50. Or there's something that you are asking me to do for you. Okay, no problem. Finish this course. Once you are done, I'll give it to you. You are introducing courses and courses and courses. By the time they finish 1, 2, 3, naturally they'll start getting interested. Remember, they already have the hardware, which usually should be a very big limitation. So once you do this thing, and that is like a strategic way of roping your children in. And once they get in, your job is done. The rest of the learning is in their hands. With that, you have children who will now develop very strong and deep passion for technology. You understand? And you just keep following up. If you have more relevant things, give it to them. There are different places to learn. Just incentivize their learning. Get something on Udemy. When I finish this course, I'll give you 100,000. I'll give you that thing that you are asking for. I'll buy you the new game. You know, those kind of things. Just incentivize it and their interest will spin up. That's basically how I would recommend you approach it. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
It makes sense to me, Mr. Alex. And again, Mr. Alex, because we're a personal finance space, you talked about that JAMB site, and folks are asking. So, if I'm in, say, Kwara State, I can log into that site, and my child can take those same courses to sort of improve his JAMB score. It's more or less
exams.educare.school.
Exams. Okay, exams@educare.co, guys. That's the
exams.educare.school.
Gotcha. So, guys, that's the we want to give you cost savings, not just to save money, but to have the efficiency and that knowledge perspective. So, very, very good. Engineer Oyibo Donatus, you've got the floor. Go ahead, please. Engineering.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. I'm cool. Mr. Ifeanyi, I sincerely appreciate your response, although I came in late. But I'm a parent. I also want to ask 1 or 2 questions. Like you talk about investing in software and all that, like laptops and all that. So at what age can we introduce our kids to some of all these stuffs?
I think as early, I can even say as early as 6. As early as 6. You can even start a lot with gaming and all those things, but as early as 6.
So as early as 6?
Yes, if you can, that will really be very helpful. Let them start with like Minecraft, some of these drag and drop coding applications. They see that they can actually build mobile apps by doing this, doing that, you know. I don't know if you know about Minecraft. If they start with those kind of tools, they can start advancing. You understand? And then you've done your job. But just make sure you have tools for them. Those tools are very critical. If you have it available for them, then it becomes a lot easier.
Oh, that sounds perfect. Maybe I'll try it out. I really appreciate it. I will look out to your website and see how I can navigate through.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
If you have a 6-year-old, my website may not have any value for you.
There are these apps. Yeah. There are these apps, like you said, Mr. There are these apps where you can do coding by visuals for kids.
Minecraft is good. Minecraft is good. It's from Microsoft. Minecraft.
Okay. I'll try it out. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, let's get is that IJK? Yeah. IJK, you got the floor. Yeah, go ahead. IJK. I'm not hearing you. Let me get Adedeji from Balancy. Adedeji, you got the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalu. Thank you, Mr. Alex, as well. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, cool. I'm Adedeji at ABC, and I'm a very good student here, I must say. My question today is particular about like the technical schools. So I'm focused on vehicle repairs and maintenance. My question really is to Mr. Alex. Like you talked about, when Mr. Kalu asked about how you would manage the 50 billion fund. So I thought it was interesting you mentioned technical schools and whatnot. So my question really is, how do you set up such kind of training system in today's Nigeria, right? Obviously focusing on globalization, but starting from a training center in Ikorodu. So backstory is last year I did sponsor 6 ladies in training of like basic maintenance and vehicle repair skills. So I'm very curious, if I wanted to do this for 100 people, and constantly do year on year, how do I go about it?
So your question is, you want to sponsor people, just to be clear, right? Is that
well? No, technically, the sponsorship is just one part of it. That was me doing it for somebody else's program. Of course, I would want to think about the profit part of this. Obviously, the way you described it, as well as training and then exporting to different societies, different countries, even perhaps, they definitely have commercial value. So I intend to make money back off of that. But my point is, you still have to train these people first. So how do you go about that?
Okay, so I think there's something that these guys did he did in Andela when they started. So it's quite disruptive. Pay you to learn, and then they take a percentage of what you learn. I think one thing we need to do in these other technical skills is we need some level of standardizations. The way you finish school as an accountant, you take your ACCA certifications and some of these things, and by the time you are done, there's a minimum level of quality and standard that is expected of you as a professional. And then you did, almost every course, every professional, like you did medicine, there are some MBBS and some of these assessments you take that certifies you. I think for these other kind of skills, I think it's important for us to set up institutions, very strict institutions that can do those kind of assessments, so that by default we have, because one of the things you notice in some of these skills is that there's little or no professionalism. You just see a lot of noisemakers. You want to come and fix your car, don't they fix car for 10 years. You bring your expensive car and that is the end of the car. You come, those kind of things. So if you start having top quality people, and what it means is that if you go through those certification assessments, somebody in Enugu, Ado-Ekiti, Lagos is actually of the same quality. So what happens is that we are now bringing up professionals. So at that point, I can say, okay, I'm investing in your training. And they have already created market for people who will hire professionals. So we know that somebody that has ACCA 1 or a particular certification 1 earns minimum of 150,000. So, and let's say the cost of the training is 1 million, or the cost is 500,000, but I want to make 1 million from it, like hire purchase. So if I finish this training, we are going to have an agreement. Within the next 2 years of your work, I'll be taking 10% of your money. You get my point? So knowing that I already know the minimum level of your standard will take. So if I'm training 100 people, so it can actually be my business. I'm bringing in a lot of people to train them. Not because I love them so much, but because if I invest 500,000 in training you, I can actually make 1.5 million from you. So I'm training a lot of people in mass, and I'm shipping them. If I'm shipping them to different places in Nigeria, I'm shipping them to different West African countries. So that can also help us create, but having like a proper system and structure in those kind of spaces is something I feel that is too critical. So, and if we can be able to have it and those investments come, then I think it's a lot easier for us to protect those investments. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it kind of does. And it kind of also speaks to the direction that I'm thinking about is I've always thought that, breaking them down into courses, like each part of a vehicle definitely has like its own specific expertise, training, things that are required for you to be able to maintain or fix it in first place. So I feel like, yeah, if I want to learn AC system, I should be able to just focus on the AC part of the course and just be good at it. Obviously, yes.
The being good, but there must be a very strict and standard certification.
Yeah, I get you.
So those certifications are too critical, because that's the only thing. Just like we do WAEC here, everybody, no matter the school you went to, if you go do WAEC and you score very high, that means there's a minimum expectation of your knowledge, right? Which ushers you into the university. The same thing with JAM. So I think having those kind of strict standards will help us, even in a society, so that if I'm looking for a mechanic, I can easily ask you, what's your certification? Do you have a license? I know for you to have this particular license 2 or so, you'll probably be at a level. So if I'm getting someone of license 2, I know that I'm going to pay you 2 times of somebody that has license 1.
Gotcha.
You get? So that alone start helping us. If you are rich, get license 2. Just like we know in almost every skill. Somebody that has ACCA is different from somebody that just graduated, and it's easy. and there's no other question. So I think we need to intentionally start creating those institutions. IELTS that we do today, IELTS is just an organization. TOEFL is an organization, right? Their own is just to assess people. So they create very strict standard and assess people. And once you have IELTS and you scored very high in IELTS, nobody ever questions if you can speak English very well.
Makes sense.
So we need to start having those kind of systems in our own society that can help us measure standards. That's my own thoughts.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, so I mean, what I hear from you, Mr. Alice, again is that there's an economy around education, standards, and this is something that we can do tomorrow. We have the manpower, we have the animal spirit. It's just to sort of coordinate, put these things in a timeline and a plan, strategize, and then implement. It seems that's what I hear from you, sir.
Yes, and then aside from that, not just about the economy. Those institutions to make mad money. I mean, if you know the amount of money those institutions generate for even the society, just imagine how much IELTS generates for the British government. You know how many billions of pounds. So that's, for me, a lot of opportunities there.
Let's get Chuka in here. Chuka, hi. Thanks for waiting. You've got the floor, Chuka. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, Carlo. Thank you for doing this again. And thank you, Alex, for showing up for this beautiful conversation. I really love what you just brought to this conversation as your answer to Mr. Adedai or something. Beautiful suggestion. I hope that these people are listening. Those who can make the decisions are listening, because this can transform a lot in our labor market. I just want to ask a question regarding kids. We have noticed a lot concerning how social media affects the young people, especially teenagers and the Gen Z, and even the older ones, in terms of how the addictive nature of social media kind of becomes a distraction or a struggle for people to be able to focus on the things that matter whenever they want to. The same is beginning to grow into an epidemic among the babies regarding the games. I mean kids from 10 down to 1. Even babies as small as toddlers are now getting so used to mobile devices, and games are produced to tease them, to appease them, to appeal to them, to the point that parents are beginning to use these things to compensate for their lack of presence, or for the lack of their presence in the baby's life. So when a mother or a dad is busy with something and the baby needs their attention, and they just throw a device at them and just lead them, because their attention is grabbed immediately and they just get onto that. I have seen a lot of reports about how this is affecting the kids in terms of the way it gets them into addictions. And then the ones who are already growing into the later part of their infancy are also struggling with their academics, What do you think parents can start doing now to restructure the way that they allow their kids to use devices, beyond, in our time it was movies, now it's video games. And because of the need to introduce kids to technology, we're always making phones and maybe tablets and computers available to them, and they find their way around these things. And, I have kids around me and I see what they do with these things. Sometimes the parents are trying to catch them, but it's not that easy. What do you think can be done from the parents' point of view, or from the parents' angle and their roles, and then what can be done by companies like yours to also make products that can help bring some moderation to this?
Okay, so one thing you need to understand is that this addiction is a market, the same way sugar is a market, the technology addiction is a market. And those people who runs like X, who runs those kind of industries, always wants it to grow. But the point is, you can always introduce strong moderation. So one of the first things, for younger children is, you have to be able to remove devices. You have to know the time that nobody's going to use any screen, whether TV screen, whether the laptop screen or tablet screen. There are times you remove, maybe say maximum you can use it is just 2 hours in a day, or maybe an hour in a day. So you have to set some of these ground rules. And once you have way younger children, don't put, there's this thing called Cocomelon. Yes, it's actually not. There's research that backs it up with autism. So it's usually not good to children at that very early stage to expose them to cocomelon.
Really? Cocomelon? Cocomelon?
Yeah, cocomelon. Yes.
Oh, really?
It's not good. So it's better you expose them to Mickey Mouse. If you watch a child that watches Mickey Mouse and also observe a child that watches cocomelon, the people that watches cocomelon are usually more hyper. But if you watch Mickey Mouse, they're a little bit more calmer. So there are a lot of researches that shows that it helps facilitate autism in children. So these are the things that you may know, but then also have to regulate their hardware use. But then, it depends on your school. There are some schools that uses assignments to take away all forms of distraction from children. So as they are coming back, you have a lot of assignments. Maybe you can only touch your screen. Maybe it can even be 1 hour a day. It can even be 1 hour in 4 days. It just so depends on how you want to do it. These are children, they are malleable. So for you, once you have set those ground rules in your home, then it's a lot easier to manage those things. But more importantly, if you can't expose your children to coding, so there's something that coding does. Maybe 5 in every 100,000 children that really write codes, 5 in them are children who may likely misbehave. When you see people who start getting interested in coding very early, you notice that, coding exposes you to unlimited problem. Every day there's a problem that you need to solve. So there's a way it consumes your mind that so many things does not really interest you. That's why very good engineers, you can never find them on Twitter. It is impossible for me to hire a software engineer via Twitter or via LinkedIn. I will not do it. Because once I see you on LinkedIn, I see you on Twitter, you are not a serious person. You are a prostitute. There may be 1 in every 2,000 that may be good, but I don't believe in them. So most of them, you see them on WhatsApp. Maybe they have one useless profile picture, and they never write on WhatsApp. Their minds are too consumed in problem solving that they barely have time for a lot of other distractions. So if you expose them so early into coding, that can really help them, because what happens is that it's expanding their creativity. So I can build my mobile app, I can build this game. I want to build a game that we want to use in school. I can do this, I can do that. Some of the things we do here, robotics and some of this Lego and all. If the children start getting used to it, so their minds are now focused on, even when you see them using computers, they are not using computers to play. They are now using it more to solve a challenge that probably it may take them 2 months to solve. And if they succeed in solving it 2 months' time, there's another big one that they are going to take them 3 more months to solve. So you just have to create a blend of this. Once you have that, but the only con in it is that, many of them, because it develops like a different kind of genius in them, they are more introverts. They are more introverted because at every point in time, they are seeing life differently. So you may have to create a balance. But that is one thing I can assure you. You can never see anybody that was arrested and you check the person's... what I mean is arrested for a true crime, not the normal Nigerian arrest. For a crime, and you check the person's occupation and the person is a software engineer. It is very, very difficult. You may never find it. You understand? If you find it, maybe 1 or 2 in like 100,000, but it's difficult. So because that skill set makes us look more reasonable, because you are always solving a problem all the time. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, but there's something I want to add to that as a question, if you don't mind, Carlo. What about the kids who are already in this addiction? You're talking about people that are just about to start raising their kids. What about the kids that are already at the age of maybe 5, 7, who are already in this addiction? Because I've noticed
you reduce it. It's very easy to prevent that well. You reduce it.
How do you reduce it? Because I noticed that sometimes I see these kids, they are supposed to do their assignment or their take-home work. And at the time they're supposed to do their take-home work, before you know, they switch to games. When somebody comes into the room, they switch back to the assignment. Is there a way
you are the one that gave them the hardware. Yes. So those hardware, you take it away. That's why
when they're supposed to do their assignments. Yes. Is there a way to monitor what they're doing?
Yeah, Mr. Alex, they're like, there are apps you can use to monitor exactly where they go to. Like
There are apps you can install. Yes, I know there are apps you can use to monitor. But if they are doing the assignment in a computer, right?
Yes.
If they need that computer to do the assignment, as a parent, most of the time, you should also be with them to do those assignments, right? But situations whereby you can install those apps or set limits or lock some apps. There are some apps you can install to help you lock some apps. So you can't even access it. You can password some things, or you can only access it at a particular time. So those things help. So even when they want to try it when you are not there, the apps will be locked. Children are very smart. They can always figure it out. But you just make it a lot more difficult. You get my point? So if you create those limits, then it's very easy for you to monitor. And then also, those apps that you are using, try to get the ones that can give you reports. So a situation whereby somebody went to and opened something else, maybe from the back end, and you found out and you got the report. By the time they see that you're actually getting the report, they will definitely not want to try it again.
Would you mind sharing some e.g., like some of the apps you would recommend?
Yes, I will need to do a little bit more findings. I'll give you something that is up to date.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Great exchange, guys. Thanks so much. I know many parents are listening, not just for the education part of it, but also this issue of apps and kids. Because like Chuka said, when you give a phone to a child, you open their mind, but they wonder. They really wonder. And I think there are apps that allow you to train that thought. So they have that same creativity, but they are also allowed to wander the internet, within those bands that you set. Let me get IK in here. His sentence has been going off and on. IK, you've got the floor. Go ahead, real quick, IK. IK, can you speak? Alex, someone's asking me online here. He's saying, is there any currency to the argument to say scrap the universities, that's the BScs, and go straight to skills? I.e., we know the Americans want this skill in coding, or we want this Python or this. Should we just convert our universities, maybe the IT departments, just say we're just going to churn out coders or guys that have that particular skill? Is there any point in doing BSc computer or BSc maths? Just what's your take on that?
It is very important. So you remember in universities, they judge you in two things. They judge you in character, they judge you in learning. Learning is the secondary part. Character is more. When you are in that university environment, one of the big things that you get is character, because character is what helps you strive, even in the society. Friendships, you understand, you get it. And so many other things you get while in the walls of the university. Then learning becomes the secondary bit. So I think it is important to enhance the BSc, not to scrap it. It has always worked. You get my point? And if you enhance it, it will be of much greater value. But scrapping it, I don't recommend that at all.
Okay, good to know. And let's go to this other topic. Could you talk really about the finance app you talked about when you started that is only available to educare? What is it all about? What actually goes on there? And you said it's invite only. Just give us more details on that.
Okay, so what informed investment in that was, when you are building anything in life, but let me use software as a case study. When you are building something, the less dependent you are on external factors, the more reliable you are highly likely going to be. Before then, as educare, of course, we plugged into different people through APIs, right? But there are a lot of gaps that we see. Like, for instance, we have Flutterwave, Monify, and some of these other guys. There's always different failure at different points, which affects our customers. But first of all, we'd say, you know what? Let's build more like a finance infrastructure that helps us manage the payments within educare, and also help us because, for instance, you know what it means to have 2,000 accounts on Flutterwave. So what it means is that there are different issues for different customers, and you have to keep logging in to keep solving those issues. So once we now build like a unified system, it helps us to manage all external payment gateways, unified all of them in one. Secondly, in payments, if you use payment gateways like Flutterwave and Paystack and all, one thing they do a lot is they do this thing they call it lump settlement. So all your transactions that happened yesterday, they lump it, and then they deposit it the next day. That thing is actually an accounting nightmare because it becomes very difficult for them to sort, and especially for our schools. So what we did was we had to also introduce singular settlement. So as the money is channeling through our system, we are also settling it the way it comes. So even when you are doing their auditing, it becomes very easy for them to see, okay, this particular payment came and this is what it is. Now, another thing, if remember when Zenith Bank was down for I think like 3 weeks or so, GT Bank followed suit and everything. One of the biggest challenge managing money in Nigeria is there's a lot of failure at different points. So, and all these failure are software related problem. It's knowledge gap. Anytime you see a bank having issue, NIPS or core, it's actually knowledge gap. So we decided, because we have one of the best of engineering. So let's build our own backbone so that we can also manage our money. So we manage payments, we manage money. So my system now, the chances of money failing is less than 0.0001 because we use what we call the different multi-routing, you get, and we also created like state machines. It's more like AI tools that helps us. So these are the same thing that we use to power for our customers too. So the same infrastructure, they receive money. The same infrastructure, they spend from it. The same infrastructure, they also access loans because we're also studying their transactions. So that makes it super easy. And the same infrastructure is fully integrated in educare. So, and that's the same thing they use in paying their salaries. So you are processing, once you click process, everybody get their money immediately. Everybody get their pay slip immediately. There's nothing like it failed. If there's any failure, maybe receiving bank, you automatically see the failure. So all those things are some of the issues that our core customers have been experiencing. Because of how powerful the application is, we had to make it invite only because we don't want any form of bad actors. We can't afford bad actors. So it's all our businesses that will verify that we are allowed to use the application. And the application has been super, super useful for them.
Perfect. That perfect explanation, sir. Thank you so much. Let me just go back to your business again. When you were starting out, how did you fund this dream? I know you went educare in 1 year or 2 years, but when you got you got the code in Enugu, how did you fund it from that knowledge you gained to starting the small firm to then expanding? Can you just give us maybe a run through of how you got the funding to maybe sort of grow your business? Lots of guys listening to you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I used to run a page on Facebook called Babies Are Beautiful. At some point, my page was the largest in Nigeria. Then it was 8.7 million followers. Then even all the artists, they were like 1 million, 2 million. So what I post, even if you check now, it's still on Facebook, Babies Are Beautiful. What I post then, I only post beautiful babies. Beautiful babies is what even terrorists love. So I became so popular, even in the US. So every morning I'm posting hundreds of babies. Hundreds of parents are writing me to post their babies. So that gave me a very strong visibility. So what now happened was I started blogging, and I was blogging on babies. So while I was blogging on babies, I write about babies and so many other things. So I started making money via Google. I was making sometimes 5, 10,000, 14,000. I'm making from Google. I'm making from page. So I was making like 20,000, 25,000 every month. So I was doing it. At some point, Johnson & Johnson, I was targeting like $100,000, $200,000 every month. At some point, Johnson & Johnson wanted to buy it. They approached me to buy it then for $24 million.
What?
So,
Mr. Alex,
yes,
please. The money you are calling on this space is too much. You just called 600 million. Now you're calling $24 million.
Yes, they actually wanted to buy it. So the thing is that I was kind of, would I say, so I know the page was growing. My target, there's this page called Sarcasm. Sarcasm then was, I think, like 20 million, 24 million. Then Cristiano Ronaldo was at, I think Cristiano Ronaldo was not up to 50 million then. So my push was I wanted to be the largest page. Like today now on Facebook, the post with the highest comment ever on Facebook, I'm the one that wrote that post. I think I have almost 1.2 million comments.
Wow.
I will find that post and I will share with you. 1.2 million comments.
I would love to see that.
I was already growing very fast. I was very popular. Babies are us, because at some point I started doing drop shipping. So anything I post, the biggest place I have is Arkansas. Anything I post goes viral in America. 60% of my users are in the US. Very few Nigerians. I mean, of course, a lot of Nigerians, but there are still very few. But that is how popular it is. My post is good. There's one I did that you see that the post is already at I think 64 million people that saw it. You know, those kind of things. 644,000, 1 million shares on Facebook. You know what it means to get 1 million shares on Facebook? So I have that popularity. The biggest problem I didn't regret rejecting them, but it was in 2017. You know, there was a time Facebook started clamping down on clickbait. You know, sometimes we post some things that may appear to be bait. You understand? You look at a baby crying, you now tell, oh, I am crying. Can you make me to stop crying? You know, those kind of funny things. People will start saying, oh, sorry, baby, stop crying. Those things helps to build massive engagements. But at some point, Facebook started seeing them as baits, right? So, but that was really not the problem. There was a time I now posted a mother breastfeeding her baby. That was my last stroke. So that was when Facebook removed me on Facebook, because then I was managing a lot of people. I was the one that brought Fino to Facebook now. I was the one that did for Abani them, the Bible. And Nathaniel Bassi, I was the one that brought him to even social media. I was the one that created his first Facebook. I was the one that came in. I was the one that told him, because he was this kind of people that know social media. Then he was suspecting, you know, those times before he now started. We were co-managing the page, right? Before he even started the Hallelujah Challenge and some of these things. So I was actually very strong on Facebook. So that was how I was doing it. I was targeting $100,000, $200,000 every month on revenue. But on that 2017, on that fateful day, Facebook now clapped me, removed everything, both all my accounts. Like right now, since then, I don't have an account on Facebook. I can't get in on Facebook. Everything went off. So it just taught me one thing, that you cannot build your business or your future in another person's infrastructure. That they can always wake up. Like as popular as you are on X, they can wake up tomorrow and tag you one thing and then remove you.
They have done it before.
Yeah, so that it happened to me. So imagine somebody making like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 every month. So I was using those money to fund my team while we were building. Wow. You get my point?
Wow.
So I was not under any form of pressure. Then I was saving a lot of money then. So that was like where I got like the real money I was using, aside from the small works, 10 million that we do, all those small things that we do. So I was using it. Google, then anytime they are doing Google meeting, they normally invite me. I was the one that helped even guide the Sun newspaper do monetization for Google AdSense. I was the one that helped them do those monetization. So all these things, when they're calling like the highest ranking earners, I'm always in those meetings. We, Sahara reporters and all. And all I blog about was babies. I just talk about babies, pregnancy. I just did that niche. And you know, there's this thing called CPC. That niche is also a high CPC niche. So in my 1 million, in my 10,000 visits and let's say 100 clicks, is much more powerful than a 150,000 clicks from Sun newspaper. And you know, my audience is usually like America. Maybe one of my clicks can be $1.5, $2, $3. So 100 clicks can give me. The day Donald Trump won election, that day he won his election, I wrote about his son, Baron. That day, does that post alone, I made almost $2,500 from just that post. That day he won his first election.
Was that on Facebook? That was still on Facebook.
No, it was a blog. I wrote it on my blog about Baron Trump. You know, he's autistic. I was just waiting. So a very important event, I'm always waiting for it. That day he won, I wrote about it and it went viral. The day there's this girl that won Miss World from South Africa. I think her name is Rolling Strauss. The day she won, that immediately she won, I opened a Facebook account for her. Before I could say Jack Robinson, she got 10,000 followers. Before I know what's happening, it's almost 200,000. It was not Loris Trust, it was me that owned that page. So they had to write from South African government to take away that page from me.
Oh.
So normally you will sell the page to them. You get my point. So you create those things, then you sell to them. So, but I already own very powerful page. So if I want to make you trend, then once I put it in 5 or 6 of my pages, you will trend. So I had that. So, but that's basically what we did then. So that Babies Are Beautiful was my power. When I was doing drop shipping, I set up Shopify, I did Obello. So I was selling a lot. You get, and I had Stripe. I was selling. So as I'm selling, I'm also blogging. You get, so a lot of money were coming in everywhere. I mean, you wake up in the morning, sometimes you make like 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, you know, those kind of things. And then sometimes dollar would not go up. That is our prayer. You sell, it goes down, you go back. So it has always been that trend. That's how, like, I made those funds I was using to fund. Because if I didn't make that kind of money, educare won't really be that great. Because the biggest problem we had with the people before us is edutech is one of the least funded space in technology. So for you to really get people who can fund you in edutech, that means it has to be people who are super passionate about that space, or you are the funder. So because fortunately I got a lot of money, right? I was able to blindly focus on educare, knowing that this will work someday. So we were pumping in a lot of money, right? And at the end of the day, so that's why it's really difficult for somebody to really come close or replicate what we do, because the amount of investment it will require, I don't think investors will see so much value in it. They are easy to invest in fintech, but edutech, no. That's why edutech founders, they call them broke founders. So because of what we did, that was why we kind of became very, very different. So that was actually how I made a lot of. So it's just basically Facebook. So why people were playing? If you go to Facebook, and I still have one of the pages, Babies Are Beautiful, I think it's like 2.something million followers. That one still works. Sometimes if I feel like I need money, I can go there. All these mothers are asking to post pictures, $20. By the time you do 30, 40, 50 a day, you make money, and then I can even do it today. It happens. Just that I usually don't have so much time to stay on screen. But it's there. So that has always been something that really helps. You get my point?
Yeah.
So that thing helped me a lot. So
and Mr. Alex, really, what I'm hearing you say is this: you didn't take a bank loan, or you didn't fund your business with any interest-bearing loan. I mean, you basically went to what you could do and you monetized it. And I think that's the lesson I want the folks listening in. Lots of folks are asking how you can't build a business with bank loans. Banks are not bad, but banks are for working capital, which means you already have a business and you want to expand, or you have an order. You want to deliver that order. The company will pay you in 60 days once you deliver. So you can go get a bank loan, deliver, and then you close out. But you can't go to a bank and say, I'd like to borrow 2 million or 10 million from you to start this, I have this great idea. No. You're going to pay interest, and it's not patient capital. So your head, Mr. Alex, he basically was able to do, this is what we call self-financing. Normally the first place you go to finance is self-financing, then family and friends, before you even look for investors, before you then go public. And I think he just stopped at himself. He was able to monetize what he did. So there's some lessons he has said. He drops a few nuggets there. If you're going to go online, pick a niche that people will want. Anybody, terrorists, mothers in Oklahoma, mothers in Kwara, all love babies. Everyone loves babies. So soccer, plants, there are many niches that are in Nigeria that no one knows about, that we don't talk about. Everybody in Nigeria is into comedy, skits, funny guy, girls, big nyash and all that. Pick a niche that no one knows about. And if you go there and you are the first person there, then you build that brand, you become the known person in that brand. No one posts about flowers in Nigeria, or I haven't seen anyone post about flowers in Nigeria. What if you start posting about flowers? You build that niche, you're the only one there. There will be people in Nigeria that love flowers. What about moi moi? Yeah, people talk about food. What if you just focus your page on moi moi? I'm going to be the best moi moi page in all over Nigeria. The point is, get the niche, build the following, then you can monetize, right? You just can't follow. Everyone is doing comedy, you are doing comedy. Everyone's doing soccer, you're doing soccer. Everyone's doing politics. Even bigotry is a channel. Everybody's doing bigotry. You have to create your own space, build a followership, and monetize. The numbers Alex is quoting is mind blowing. 28 million. 600 million. It's just a testament to the level of his entrepreneurial animal spirit. This is a Nigerian in him talking. Guys, believe it or not, we've been here for nearly 2 hours, and I'd like to let my guest just to thank him again.
No, let's continue.
You want to continue? That's fine. Okay, perfect. So let me just read my DMs to you, because I can. Mr. Alex, thank you. Okay, let's go straight to it. I don't know the title. SQ whatever L. I would like to get.
SQL.
Yeah, he says.
SQL.
I don't know what he's saying, but he wants to be able to work remotely. Is there any best practice you would like to advise him and say, hey, if I want to leave Nigeria and work remotely, what are the steps? What are the best practices? I think that's what he's asking here. Yeah.
So this is the advice. Like I talked about this guy, Mosh Hamedani. Let him go to Mosh Hamedani website. Just go inside, Google it. He should, I think, like $29 per month. You should just make those investments for the next 3, 4, 6 months. You should pick up a course. In the Mosh Hamedani, to show you the career path. By the time you pick up courses and you take 1 or 2 and engage yourself in activities, there are a lot of opportunities online that you can apply for. Just make sure that you pick up projects, very difficult projects. So because in the end of the day, in tech, it's all about what you can do, not necessarily about the certificates you have. Pick up difficult projects and engage in them. By the time you are done with 2 or 3 or 4, then you can apply for opportunities and you will get it. It's just that it's not that difficult.
Okay. And these guys are saying we have an investment club, and we are trying to raise financing. Do you have any links to? Essentially, they're asking for a direction towards raising capital for small. They have like a coding. I think it's investment club coding, whatever. Yeah. Do you have any directions towards where they can raise funds if they'd like to basically do what you've done?
That answer is not going to be straightforward. Raising fund is very easy. Raising fund is very difficult. It just all depends. I mean, there are too many factors. For me, I can always raise funds. My name is already easy to raise funds. For a new person, it's difficult. You understand? So it just all depends. But in terms of raising funds, like, you mentioned earlier, raising funds should be the last option. And remember, we talk about financing. Our focus have always been investors financing. There are so many forms of financing. There's family and friends. There is other business. There's even scale. There's even hacking, because at the end of the day, somebody that's trying to build something has something that he's doing that gives him little money. Probably trying to chase passion. Why not hack the one that you are doing that gives you little money and see if you can do 10x or 15x, 20x? Maybe you now invest 10% of it trying to chase your passion. You get. There's also, loan, but I usually never advise on loan. So if you can explore these options too, and then you finished it. Investors are good most of the time, but whether angel or you are doing Series A or Series B investment, it's usually not, usually between 3 to 6 months to raise funds. You get. You can also raise funds on the spot, depends on the amount and who you are talking to and the idea you have. And sometimes if you put in energy in raising funds, sometimes it can even affect your core business as well. So maybe you can explore my method, find a passion. You understand? Everybody mustn't use, depends on what you are doing. Some things require heavy capital at first. But if you find something that mustn't necessarily have to, Facebook was never my passion. Just that I saw that I could make money there and I meant to make money. When they chased me away, I focused on my business back. So, but if you can find out things that can help you increase your capital, and remember, you mustn't invest so large. You can, because it's always good to use lean methodology. Try with very little funds, make a lot of mistakes. If it requires you to pivot, but make a lot of mistakes. It's important you make a lot of mistakes, because at the end of the day, even when you are running a business, you will still make mistakes, but at those points, it may be very expensive. But if you make a lot of mistakes now, you learn a lot. So don't be too much in a hurry to access. Depends on the business, actually. But if it's just a normal software business, I don't think you really need so much in terms of external capital. So with that, I think that can really be of great help.
I think so too. And this is a very interesting question. Hey, I'm a single mother. It says, I'm a mother. I stay at home. I'm a housewife. What is the best skill I can pick up? I can't travel. I only stay at home. I use local power. But is there something I can pick up that I can do at home? It's a lady asking. It's from Cynthia.
So the thing is, one problem I have with people like this, whether a single mother or older people, is that, the patience of learning sometimes is less for when people get older, because they need money sharp. And sometimes some of these skills that can really give you that kind of money that gives you a lot of freedom may take you a longer time. So sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. And if I tell you to take data analysis courses, these are more like common things, or project management, so the competition there is usually much. But if you really, really, really want to, if you have interest in computing, you can start with taking like very good courses in Canva, maybe UI, UX, and then if you can go into programming, if you learn it so well, I can guarantee you that you will always scale. But just know that if you are in a hurry to make money, I can't really help, because it may be difficult. It may require you a little bit more time. So that's basically where it becomes a little bit dicey for me.
Yeah, she's saying she's basically staying at home because she's taking care of a kid at home, and that she's staying at home because taking care of a kid at home. Yeah.
So, yes, I know a lot of them is basically because at the end of the day, she's taking care of the kid at home. She may highly likely need money. If she can sacrifice a year without actually making money, then let her now take some of these programming courses. It can even be front end. Front end is okay. Just make sure that she's very, very good. As she's learning front end, let her learn a little bit more of graphics too, so that she can combine those aesthetics as well. So with that, she can make a lot, but it may require her a little bit more time and that experience. If she's in a hurry, like 1 month, 2 months, I don't think I may be able to offer some help in that.
Okay, and this is a good question. Somebody is asking, you said earlier that you rejected a big deal from a bank to buy your software. I also do contracts where people tend to write apps. So what he's asking is this, right? Is it if he needs money, if he really needs capital to progress to the next level, and somebody offers him a bulk deal, is it sometimes advisable to take that capital and then go and do his dream? He's a long article, but what he's saying is essentially that people come to him, he writes apps and all that, and they pay, and he moves on. He has a dream to do something different. So is it okay for him to just do that to raise liquidity to then go and do his dream? He's just asking for your opinion based on what you said about GT Bank and all that.
Yeah, but even while GT Bank was offering that money, remember I have money as well. So my situation may be a little bit different. Good ideas may not be so easy to come by. That is one thing we need to know. So if you are lucky to have one, it's always good to hold it to your heart. But then also, if you are hungry, right, you may also consider taking the money, because you need to be alive to build the business. So my own scenario, I wasn't broke. I still have my Facebook money. Then you get my point. So because of that, I still have a little bit more freedom to make choices. Yes, money is good, but for me, I didn't see any point packing a lot of money I didn't need. However, it also made me understand that this thing was so much of a great value, and I think it's important that I focus and build it. So because of that, my own case is different. So, but if I didn't have money at all, and they presented me with that opportunity, I think I may consider taking it and then look for something else. So that's definitely for me what I will say. I wouldn't really say don't take it or take it. Yeah. The condition may just what makes the difference.
Yeah, that's why it's really getting to that. That he really likes what you did, but that sometimes he wants to. So good clarification, sir. Thank you so much for that. And I like this. I like this question. This guy is also asking. He's saying in Enugu today, are there also courses like this today? How you benefit? He's asking not just in Enugu. Are there other courses like this still happening in Enugu and all that? Like the same way you got your big start. Are there still courses like that? Can you name them?
That particular course I did was a very funny course. There's this place. It's not like it's a serious thing. All those people now learn web design in 3 days.
Yeah.
It's just something I randomly jumped. It's not like if you attend that particular, you won't believe anything great can come out of it. It's not like it was something fantastic. But in Enugu now, there is this Cafe One is now in Enugu. One of the reasons why I've been pushing people to go there is not like I have any stake there. It's because this is an ecosystem. If you go to Cafe One, beyond just trying to build whatever you want to build, you can meet people. There, when you meet people, you build network. You guys start discussing on different things, sharing opportunities, sharing new things to learn. So it helps to build those networks. So I think if you can, visit Cafe One as frequent as you can to start building your network there. And also if there are meetup events, go there. You will start meeting people. You start meeting even people that can employ you. You start meeting opportunities. Because if I want to hire people, for instance, the easiest way for me is to go to Cafe One and see if I can see young developers or freelancers. I can probably start from there. So I think that place may be a very good place for you. The launch is in Enugu, I think in December.
I saw your post on that. It looked very, very posh. Is this somewhere that if I'm just a guy doesn't have any job, I can go to? I saw the Cafe One post. It looks very, very. Is it how much?
It actually looks as it is. Just that it's paid for now. So I think it's like a day should be like plus or minus 5,005 or so.
Wow.
That's for a free seat. I think there's a monthly billing. I don't know, I think like 100K or so, but not up to 100K.
So it's just the internet they get? What do they get? It's just the internet?
No, the environment is one. Okay. Of course, 24 hours lights, very conducive environment. And then they have the internet. And then they also have access to networks. So I was telling them when I came, they need to host a lot of events as well, so that people can access more people and opportunities. So these are the things you get, just the same way they have co-working spaces here in Lagos or in London. It's the same thing.
Gotcha.
So, but it's a very good place to meet people of like mind. So I think they should go there frequently.
Gotcha.
By the time you interact with almost everybody there, then
you start to build that network. Gotcha. I got Awa. Awa has a word. Awa, you've got a word there to speak? Awa Odua. Awa, that's a very interesting name. Awa, can you speak? Going once? Okay, let me go back to DMs. So, Jesus, some that are repeating, so I have to read to get one that is original. Sorry about that. This one is what do you have for females? Is there anything specific for the females and minorities? Is there anything specific for that? That's what it's asking, I guess.
The question is actually quite big.
Yeah.
It just all depends on what you're looking for. Maybe I can give you a little guide on it.
I think you're saying, hello, sir. Is there anything that he has on his portfolio for females, like the minority? Because females have a lower achievement rate in the IT sector. I think that's what he's asking, yeah. Or she. This should be a she. He's asking if you have anything.
I think what works for male works for female. There's no... Yeah, so anything that works for male actually works for female. It's just about... this. If you can be able to sit down and learn, then the future definitely is going to be a lot brighter. And then if you can be able to cut off a lot of distractions. There's something I do on X. When I come to X, every post that has to do with Jesus, I like it. I just use it to clean up my X. I don't see a lot of rubbish. So, anything Jesus. Then if I see your post about finance, I like it. So that next time they can recommend it for me.
Okay,
but I hardly see rubbish on my X. So if you can be able to clean up your space and then focus and learn, just make sure that you spend like 1 hour, 2 hours on social media a day and then spend more time to learn. You will get a lot. But if you spend so much time scrolling Instagram, because there's something you need to understand. I don't know if I've taken my time to study it. The human brain is modeled like a computer brain, right? When you open 3, 4, 5 tabs, 6 tabs in your browser, if you notice, you see that the processing in your computer becomes more. Your fan probably may start moving, depends on the computer you use. And once you keep opening more applications, it gets so busy. And the only thing you need to do is to shut it down before you reboot it, right? The same thing with human mind. When you have just one tab open and you are studying or doing something, your energy is at the maximum level. Your focus level is very high. you can achieve a lot more things, and you tend to be happier as a person. Whenever you start juggling applications, TikTok, Instagram, too many things, unrelated activities on Twitter, it will start processing your brain very fast. One thing you notice is that you start getting tired. You may even start getting hungry or angry.
Wow.
Or irritated. Just the smallest thing to do, you become lazy. So you can't use that kind of brain to be very productive. So that's why if you develop personal, sometimes I give myself no X, no nothing. You understand? You have to, if you develop that personal discipline, it will help you to learn, because this whole thing that we are doing takes a lot of your productive times. I spent a lot of time on Facebook because I was making money. It was my, you understand? But I was never engaging. You will hardly ever see me comment on anything. It's only on babies, how I can make more money. So if you can be able to reduce a lot of distractions and focus more on, there's a lot of things to learn. Thank God we are at the age of GPT-4 or Grok. There are unlimited things you can learn. You can be able to use these tools more effectively. I think, because see what happens, opportunities is not patient. When opportunity comes, it doesn't waste time. It wants to know who is the most qualified at any point. So if you are still struggling to learn when you have all the tools within your power, and opportunities come and go, then you don't think you have anybody to blame. That is basically what I have to say on it.
And that's a hack that I think many people don't know. Like, if I want to learn about, say, let me say, reverse mortgages, you know what I do? I type reverse mortgages on Facebook. I type it on Twitter. Before you know it, the algorithm will send you everything on reverse mortgages for the next 24, 36. So I like it that they track me. I say, yes, track me. So I use them to learn. I just type it in there. They send me stuff. So, and it's great for research. Even this is before ChatGPT. It's very, very good, you know. And the internet is, people ask me, how do you get information? How do you know so much about this? It's just what you put on social media. One day my daughter got my phone and went into YouTube. Oh my God. Till today I'm still suffering that. I get all those kitty this, kitty that, because she went in there, right? So, and it's just amazing how the algo would spot what you like and send it to you. If you immerse yourself around learning, if you want to learn anything, if I'm doing an exam, I go on Facebook, I put that exam. On Twitter, I put the exam, I put the topics. It will just send you constant stream free of charge, because it thinks you want to learn. Yeah, and you just immerse. So social media is not bad. You see, when you use it, click this.
It's just like electricity. Yeah. It's just like electricity. I remember, if you have gone a little bit of history, when Nikola Tesla, when he was a student of Thomas Edison. I don't know if you knew that AC was a bet. Thomas Edison said, if you can do it, you get $50,000. So Nikola Tesla has to work very hard with his team. He was the person that got it. So he met Thomas Edison to ask for the money. Thomas Edison is a businessman. He now shoved them. So he now took his idea and ran to other investors, right? So when he did that AC, Thomas Edison did all kind of bad campaign. He brought a live elephant, a big elephant, plugged positive and negative, and the elephant shrinked instantly.
Wow.
Trying to discourage the whole world that electricity, the AC is bad, AC is dangerous, AC is this, AC is that. He never made it. Guess what? At the end of the day, he ended up promoting AC. And they now realized that AC is even safer than DC. So the point is that electricity is very dangerous. Electricity is very good. If you know how to use it, you can use it for something way more powerful and meaningful. If you don't know how to use it, it can actually destroy you. So that is actually the same power that has to do with the internet. People who doesn't know how to effectively use the internet can campaign against it, that can do this and do that. People who know how to use it effectively can also use it to be able to do magic. So it's also important that sometimes we stay back and then reflect and then learn how to actually use these tools so that we can use it to do something way, way more meaningful. Because even on X, you can build a lot of valuable connections. You can speak directly to presidents. You can do this. These are things that traditionally it is not possible. But if you can use X very well, that's how you can use it. But some people are here to probably waste their time. So it's just for you to probably do like a 360-degree turn and see how you can be able to use these tools better.
There's a great question here. It says, in this age of AI, is learning software still relevant? I mean, I've seen... Go ahead.
Extremely relevant. Extremely relevant. And whenever you are learning anything, also work so hard to learn the first principle. It is very important, because at the end of the day, for you to build meaningful applications, you have to know it so well. Because, software programming is all about problem solving. I mean, I think that's one foundational thing that everybody needs to understand. Why do I need to use an app? Basically because it helps me not to go to bank, walk into a bank. I can actually transfer that money in my home. That is all that it offers to you, right? You don't care about the fancy looks and fancy designs. If that application, you click on it and it does not work, you will hate the bank and hate everything in it. The next option is for you to walk into the bank and solve your problem. So, if you understand problem solving at its core, that helps you to know how to use different languages. Like, if you want to start building much faster applications, you have to use something like C. Applications that get closer to the machine, to zeros and one, right? So, and if you understand it, that helps you to know how to even prompt GPT if you need it for in a form of assistance. You get my point? Because one is to have AI, two is to know how to prompt it. If you can't prompt it very well, you will never get something as meaningful as you wish. So learning programming is way, way, way more important. Then using AI as an enhancer is also very, very good.
Just a question about what I see you guys doing with reforming the schools. This is physical infrastructure. There's a few schools you're reforming. Can you talk a bit about that?
Okay, so what we are doing is, just going back a little bit about the history. School, the ancient Greek schoola, the idea of school basically from Greece is a place whereby people come to after work to relax, and in the process of relaxing, they learn. That is the idea of school. And that is why you see that schools are designed to be very comfortable, because comfort and learning goes hand in hand, right? So now, basic education is actually the most important education. One, for a child, two, for the society. And if you look at the state of our schools in our region in the Southeast, you just realize that the state of the schools are very, very bad. One is the schools. Two is the quality of what is even being taught. Three is even the teachers. I have complained, so most of the time I try not to write, because whenever I write about schools, some people in the government will start attacking me. I have written, we've talked about it. I just realized that nothing will be done. And I don't know how old we are today. Tomorrow we can never be the same age again, and time is going. So it is very important that we do what we need to do now. For us to build that society that we want to be proud of, we have to actually start taking bold steps. That's why when it was Gauss, a Bitcoin chief, that wrote about it. And of course, we're already doing a school research across the 95 local governments in 5 states in Southeast. When I saw what he wrote, it clicked immediately that this is very important. And we cannot just do it ourselves. We can get everybody involved, because at the back of most people's hearts, they want their own community. They want our society to succeed. Let's start renovating these schools. Renovating these schools are not crazy. They're not even expensive in the real sense. Let's renovate this. Let's see these challenges. Let's renovate these schools. Let's train these teachers. Let's see how we can do more meaningful books and content for these children. Let's start building a different kind of society. So if you have these schools, central schools across all these villages and some other schools at a minimum level quality, children can be happier to come to school. So we're already solving the out-of-school problem. Children can be happier. They are not going to come to school with the mindset that they are going to sit on the floor. They are coming to school that they can sit on a desk. So we're having these children come. So when they can come to school and they can learn, you get my point. Yeah. Automatically, we already started solving the societal problem. So we now say, okay, let's even, all these are schools in Southeast. Let's keep fixing them. Let's keep fixing them. So if you can be able to do them, I mean, of course, based on the capacity of how much we can raise, but if you can do almost all of them, it even helps because I'm already seeing some certain things, even in this one that we're already fixing. You understand? It helps even the people, the leaders, the governors, and the rest. Because at the end of the day, in as much as politicians may not be so willing to come and say their problems, they need as much help as any other person. You get my point? So that is why I feel that it is very important for us to urgently attack these problems. And fortunately, because this is my space, I mean, this is what I do every single day. I know what it is. Of course, private schools are very important, right? Because, of course, these are people that pay us. They are very, very, very important. But public schools are also very important. And we need to give these people some certain level of attention. So that is the reasons why we are doing these things. And we hope within the next coming months, we must have done a whole lot.
I mean, Oga, if you do this, just put the cost that you use to renovate the schools and also share on social media, because there has to be...
No, we are making it... We are making it open. That's why we did radical transparency. So, like right now, every single thing we do, every single thing we spend, I'm publishing them so that people can also help to understand these things. Like this one we are doing now, we are doing 2 buildings. I know the schools in the Southeast, the schools look the same. They look kind of the same. So what it takes to renovate a block in Enugu may not be too far from what it takes to renovate in Ebonyi. You get my point. So I'm publishing them. By the time we do 3 to 5 to 10 schools, we can actually get like a clear average to say, okay, with 15 million or with 10 million, you can actually renovate a school block comfortably to this particular standard. Because we are even publishing our design. We made a choice of color and everything. We're publishing every single thing. So with 10 million, 15 million, 20 million max, you can renovate 2 school blocks, which the 2 school blocks should be able to take like 360 children. So what it means is that in every 20 million investment, 360 children will sit comfortably in class. So imagine when we do it at large, how many 360 children can we affect their lives? You get, so that's basically what we are doing and how we are calculating it.
And Alex, a million naira is about $600. So I hear you say $5,000. And there are lots of folks listening here that are from the diaspora. They want a way to effect change, but they don't trust to give money or cash to anybody. So I'm just saying, long term, you've already put in the framework. Just think of long term to say, if I go to a school in Otta, I can take that school and I know an amount of money that can work to renovate that school. I can put that school up on the website and say, if you want to partner to fix the school, you can send money and we're going to use the local folks in Otta based on the design that you have done to fix that school. So diaspora, the rich folks can come in, fund that, and then the money goes local to the community, to the carpenters, to the painters, who would then fix that school up to that standard you have already created. I think that long term, this might be some way, or this can be an incorporated trustee or a tax-free organization, so that we can have this monies flow in, not just the welfare remittance, but this is education investment in towns and cities. Lots of people are in America. They're from a small town. They don't know anyone they can do this with. No one. And then you already have the IT. You already have the framework. This seems to be working. So, sir, please, long term, think about this. Even if you're going to start from the Southeast and get it done and say, okay, we'll start from this community. See if you can expand this. I mean, all it needs is for me to send my brother to the village. Take a picture of the school. Do 360 and all that, and then I know you know what I'm saying, sir, but I think it's very,
I understand what you're saying, and we definitely will do that. Another thing also is, there's one of the biggest problems with some of these things is maintenance, and while we were doing this, we're also trying to understand why maintenance becomes a problem. That's one thing we have been trying to really figure out. Sometimes government may say they finished something, they handed it over to the community, they did this and did that. At the end of the day, nothing ever works. It's something we're already getting to understand some things, but by the time we do more, we will understand a lot more things. So I'm already seeing some things. So for like when we're having a meeting today, I was already looking at some things. Even when we finish, like the one in Ebonyi now that we are probably finishing either this week or max next week. By the time we are finishing it, we've already identified like 3 or 4 most prominent people in that community that we have to rope in. You get my point? That has some level of value for education that we have to rope in alongside the community. We've already seen something because there's something that happened today. As I'm talking to you, I didn't want to share that information. One of the classrooms that we're already prepping, the community I think they are crowning somebody Igwe. They identified that beautiful classroom that we are, because we've not installed the door. That was the classroom they choose to put everything that they wanted to do, both their drinks, both their food. The beautiful paint that we've already done. We argued with these people for 6 hours. These people refused to leave that classroom. I don't know if you get me. So it's already obvious that in as much as we are fixing things in these remote communities, we also need to understand that these people's knowledge gap and value for education are still very, 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 very low. So identifying, like there's this guy there, AIG Opoke, that one accepted us, even our team. He gave us, my team is in his house, he's feeding us, that's what he's doing. That's basically how he appreciates what we are doing. So there are some other people we identified there. They are the people that we are going to trust this particular project on. And then alongside the school. So they are the one to ensure that this particular thing must continue to succeed alongside our own team that maintains it. So these are things that we are also trying to identify. We didn't even know that these kind of things may happen, but we are open to any kind of strange things. I don't know if it makes sense.
True.
So as we are standardizing the process because at the end of the day, it's not really about building schools. ETF built nice schools, right? But at the end of the day, it still goes back to ashes. True. So as we are trying to do these things, we're also trying to understand the biggest problem with maintenance so that we can do a lot of iterations and get to like a perfect point. So when we are sharing the template, this is what we did, this is how we did this is what we did. In terms of maintenance, this is how we engage. So that people can now use it as a baseline to also explore more options.
That is true.
So that we know that, okay, as we are making this form of investment, we are also going to guarantee that within the next 5 years, it is never going to go lower. It's definitely going to go upper.
Well said. Very well said. Let's get 2 folks in here, so then we'll start to run it down. I've kept it for 2 hours. We've got Ro and Innocent. Ro, what's on your mind? Alex has been here just talking to us. Lots of insights. I have to listen to this over and over. Ro, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Carlo. Thank you very much, Alex. I'm so much excited about this topic today because this is the area where I play. This is where I'm so much enthused about. I'm a doctoral student in the US and my focus is on education. And whenever issues like this come up, I'm really excited. Mr. Alex, good work, great work you are doing. I've been following you for a while and I'm a fan of yours. Even though some of your views, I really don't agree with them, but you are doing a great job. Just keep up the good work. I have a question to ask, and it's based from my experience while working in Nigeria. I have over 9 years of work experience working in Nigeria before I left the country, and my question is, so one of the problems of building structures or building schools in Nigeria or building good structures in Nigeria in public schools is vandalism. And I say this because I have seen it happen. Most public schools, they have huge problems of vandalism. Government builds a school, commissions it, the next week is vandalized. I've seen it happen in Bielsa, I've seen it happen in Lagos, I've seen it happen in Edo State because I worked in government schools in these states. And it is one huge problem. In fact, I wish I could call names, but there's a school in Bielsa where if you walk into that school, it looks as if they just fought a civil war in that school. or because what's just vandals just vandalize. So how do we really cope? I've been thinking along that line. How do we really cope the issue of vandalism? Because to be honest with you, it's one big problem of public schools in Nigeria. It's a major problem.
And Ro, I think that's what he was talking about when he talked about the local mentality of the folks that are there. You know, in the end, you can't take you are in Rome, so you have to deal with Romans, and it has to be really on a case by case. But let me give you an example. You know where Muson Center is? Muson Center in Lagos. I don't know if you know a long time ago, there's Muson Center. Across the road from Muson Center used to be CMS. Now it's cleaned up, but CMS in the past was just a quote-unquote hellhole. You know, taxis, buses, area boys, trash. Then you had Muson Center. Once you leave Muson Center, there's trash everywhere. Back then, not now, back then. But once you cross to Muson Center, you see green grass, not a single piece of paper on the floor. The same Lagosians, but they can throw trash outside Muson Center, but once they cross in, nothing. Why? It's just the environment. I think Nigerians react to humans react to the environment. If you build something very, very beautiful, it takes time for people to really come and trash it. That's one. And number two, like Alex has said, you've got to build and then have maintenance culture. You know, every time we build a road, you see Julius Berger also add maintenance of the road, and we never take it up. You've got to go back there every 3 months, repaint, replant, make sure that you are changing the light bulbs as it were. And once people say this place is maintained, people respect themselves. This is just my opinion. Not doesn't take away from what you're saying. That's a big problem. I don't know if Alex has any comments on that.
Oh yes. So firstly before we started this project, so I went to UNDP. I know that they do a lot of this kind of projects. So I went to them. Fortunately, one of their lead team members was my friend. So I had to meet and try to understand what they have been doing in the north. You know, there have been a lot of intervention projects in the north. So I tried to understand every single thing. So part of the things they explained to me, which originally we didn't know, was, firstly, if you notice, we use metal windows, strong metal windows, strong metal doors. Floor. We originally, when we were thinking about it, we were meant to do tiles. So I realized that we are not meant to. It is a very bad idea. So it has to be a nylon concrete floor with very good thickness. Then, of course, the whiteboards, and then the metal and wood chairs. So these are pretty basic things, right? So you can't easily vandalize the strong metal windows or metal doors, right? And then the chairs are metal and wood. And then, of course, the whiteboard is the easiest thing that you can vandalize. So with having these things, then definitely you lock it, and then we entrust it with some of these people that we are talking about now. It is not going to be really that easy, because it is not going to be really, because normally what happens is if you put like tiles, you see that they find a way, even if they come through the ceiling, to come and steal the tiles at night so that they can sell. So it may really not. Is it the chairs, the school chairs that you will steal? Who are you going to sell it to? You get my point? Or is it the whiteboard that you steal? Or is it the metal windows that you steal? So it's really not, there's really no much incentive trying to vandalize. However, we are not going to be ignorant of that. That's why we're also using this sort of part of entrusting it with very strong, reputable stakeholders within those communities as baseline. So with these things in place, we are also waiting to learn more new things that we have not seen or we are not aware of. So by the time we learn them, we deploy it in the new ones and also use it to improve. You understand? We also use it to improve the other ones. That's what we are currently doing. There's a lot of things we will learn. I've never done this before, but I have strong belief that there's a lot of things we will learn in the process, and all of us will see it, and it will be of everyone's benefit. And then also you remember, because this is individually built, we are very particular about the quality of every single thing we do, because maintenance starts with quality of materials. It's not government that we are taking money probably to do substandard and nobody really checks, because we'll settle and everybody goes. We try to see that at minimal, we also do something of good quality, so that at least the materials can also stand the test of time within the time we did it. So that's why definitely it's going to be significantly different from the one government is doing. But we are also hoping to see more things to learn. That's basically what I have to say. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. I mean, it does.
Yeah. I think it's like we'll put it's not work in progress. It has to be situation specific, and I think we can only get better. That's how I'll put it, Ro. But I think it's a good point you raised here. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's.
I have one comment to make, Mr. Kalu, please.
Real quick.
Just one. Just quickly. Also, please. I also like also have conversations around education financing in most of our schools. In my opinion, I feel quality education is not cheap. I mean, I'll take, for example, in the US, the curve, their K-12, when I say K-12, public schools are being funded through property tax. So, I mean, I would love to have conversations about funding in our public schools in Nigeria, and something I also love to see, because I sincerely feel that the government, the money being allocated to our public schools are barely enough for these schools to be maintained. So that's just my
great point. I'm always here for it. Yeah, great point. I'm always here for that. Yeah. Okay, let's get Innocent. Innocent is going to just close us out for the day, and then we'll just have Mr. Alex give his closing remarks. Innocent, thanks for holding in there. I've got Innocent Chukwu Dubem. Hope you can speak.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Kang. Alex, shout out to you. Shout out. I love what you're doing, and in fact, whenever I look at all the ideas you're bringing in, especially in the education sector and your love for the Southeast, what comes in my mind is your ideas are revolutionary in nature, and we're all going to put our hands together and make this thing succeed. I remember, looking back from where we are coming from, the Southeast specifically, our initial level of civilization and development were built on the Igwebike spirit, and that is exactly what we are bringing in back. The two comments I have this moment is there a way this thing can metamorphose into a trust group, or I don't know, but in a way that we have departments and organs in it that will handle some things in a more better way. Two things that stood out for me is the funding aspect and the maintenance that every other person have spoken about. A situation where we have a team, maybe a strategic team on funding, on fundraising. I still believe that what is going on in the social media is doing a lot, but whenever I see you post the balance, my mind is jumping. Are we going to do this and all of that? I believe that if we have a team that is dedicated to fundraising, they can take it both on social media, they can take it outside social media, they can write letters to individuals, they can meet organizations. Anyhow, they can just bring out ideas on how to generate this funding. That is one. We can also, as you already made mention of, trusting this project in the hands of notable individuals in the community. We can also enshrine a kind of a maintenance department, whether it's within the body that this whole thing gave birth to, or a maintenance department whereby these schools, if they have, if any of these things are deteriorating and they have a need for maintenance, they reach out to that group. They can also do inspection and things like that, because over here in the US, when I see schools and buildings that were erected 100 and 200 years ago, and I'm looking at it, and I cast my mind on some buildings that were built 20 years back at home, and they are not the same. There must be something we can do about maintenance, a different thing than what has been.
Yeah. Mr. Alex, I think that's a good one to close us out. I mean, not just the maintenance, but the structure. He's asking for a structure, more or less. So we have this good idea and all that. So, what's your take?
Yeah, so what I will strongly suggest, this is more like a startup. What I would strongly suggest is we need a lot of time for experiment. And by the time we're a little bit more certain and firm, then as we are doing experiments, it's also helping us build the structure and system that we'll use in the long run. Because I think this is good that we put structures in place, but I think we are definitely going to run too fast. Because we need a lot of flexibilities to make a lot of mistakes. Because when we are putting in a structure, what it means is that we are definite in most things that we are doing. So we need a little bit more time. Let's either run at least 10 schools. At that point, we have an idea of almost everything. When we are setting up more stronger structures and systems, then it makes a lot more sense for us. Because, when you start getting in a lot of structures, decision making is definitely not going to be as fast as it used to be. A lot of things have to be redefined, so I think it's important we allow time for mistakes. I mean, some basic early teaching and mistakes. By the time we get to that point, then it will now be a full trust. So right now, one of the things we'll have to do is continue to be radically transparent. Everybody's seeing all the information as it is. So we already gathered a lot of data. You understand, mistakes we share, ideas we share. So when we're now saying, this is what we've done, we're already setting this thing up as the Southeast Education Trust Fund. We are already raising this. We already have this department, maintenance department. So we kind of know everything from head to toe, so that we know if there are new experiences, then we can form it as part of the system. So, but I still strongly suggest that we still need a lot of time to make a lot of mistakes.
Well said. I like that. Learning from falling down. Very, very good point. Very, very, not just for education, sir, but also in business and all, learning from falling down. Appreciate you, sir. Yeah. The governor of Abia was here. I think he left. Would have loved to ask him a question, Mr. Alex, but thank him for coming in here. Mr. Alex, I think if we kept this space going on, you'd be here and won't run out of things to talk about. And these are practical things, and your story is very inspirational. I didn't know most of the stuff you talked about, how you started off, the Facebook page. Just mentioned to you, Facebook banned women doing breastfeeding because their nipples were showing. The women in America took Facebook, not just to the court of public opinion. And I think they won. And I think the Facebook now gave, this was way back then, an exception for breastfeeding and all that. So your case was not just you, it was really all across the world. And I think they took them and they won that case. So now if you're breastfeeding, that screen doesn't kick you off. Just want to mention that point. But I'm so impressed by what you've done, sir, and what you've achieved from the very, very humble beginnings. No learning is lost. You could have taken that learning and just gone away with it, but you took that learning in Enugu, and you built it to what we have today. I'm very proud, sir, very, very proud of what you've achieved and what you are still achieving. So let me just have you make your comments, sir, and then we'll take it.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. I've shared a lot of things as much as I could remember. And one thing that I believe so much, that with the right knowledge, with the right education, it sets you up for freedom. With education, education that doesn't lead you to flourish is not the right education. So education is very, very important. It sets us free. It helps us to succeed. The best form of investment anybody can ever make is towards learning. If you don't have a job yet, just be learning as if your life depends on it. If you have a job, continue to learn. When opportunity comes, it's usually impatient. So if you are not ready, it will skip you to the next person. So keep learning, taking new courses. If you don't have money, if you borrow small money, take new courses, get ready. This helps you. So as individuals, even as organizations, you invest in research because you also need to keep learning new things. It is very important. IT is an exceptional field. And one good thing about IT is that IT kind of touches every single thing. So if you pick up different courses in IT, don't be in a hurry to do popular things. Try to do something that is not so popular. so that you can gain advantage when it comes. What everybody is doing may not be the most ideal thing for you. You can probably get the knowledge, it's not a waste. But try to do things that are not so popular. Then explore different things. My Facebook story is a very funny story. And to be frank, I gained a lot in as much as they kicked me out. Even when they won the case, I'm a black man from Nigeria, so they have nothing to do with me. So they pushed us away. But at the end of the day, while it lasted, I gained a lot of value from it. I did from also Google and the rest. So the point is that let us keep learning, and as much as you can help the next person, even if it's just a laptop, a abandoned laptop or a old laptop, just fix it. Dash it to one random person. You may not know what that person will achieve with it. There's no point in leaving a scrap laptop in your house. Bring it, fix it, look for one person in your village, dash it, give it to the person. That laptop may be that tool that will make the person the billionaire of tomorrow. And the person will never forget you, because that is like the most important investment in that person's life. If you also keep supporting people as much as you can, preferably people that you know that you will never get anything from. People you know that you may never even meet. Like what we do. I've never been to that village, and I don't think I will ever go to that village. So, and I don't know the people. I don't even want to know them. The most important thing is that people from everywhere are succeeding. So as much as we can, I think it's very important that we invest in a lot of people as much as we can. And collectively, we will be great. And that is what I believe. I have so much confidence that we will definitely be great. And by God's grace, we'll have to. Thank you so much for spending your quality time here. And I believe that you found a lot of value.
Yes, I did.
With us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Personally, professionally, I always learn every Sunday space. The comments that people, feedback, DMs and all that is always a good space. We're trying to create an avenue of learning. You know, it might be finance, it might be the economy, but there's always that good vibes that we get. You know, lots of folks come in here and learn, and it just makes my heart very glad. So thank you again, sir, for making this a very, very worthwhile session again with you. Thank you all for the folks that joined in to comment, contribute, and to also share the tweet. I appreciate you all. We'll be back here again next week. Also, before then, we're also planning something for the diaspora investment that will come up later on. But I hope you guys will still be here and keep supporting us. Thank you so much. Mr. Alex, I am in your debt. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. You guys are going to have a great rest of your weekend. We have inauguration weekend in the United States. It's very, very cold now, but let's see what happens. Let's pray for good things, you know. It's going to happen, so let's try to be positive and just pray for good things for Africa. I mean, our point is Africa has got to be strategic in what it needs, and then to work with the partners that can bring it in. Let's drop the labels and look at what can we get, and let's be strategic the next 4 or other years. Thanks so much, guys. You guys have a good one, and bye.